judge. This is obviously a political trial, and one is charged that he was of the rights.
大的共产党，大的共产党，大的习近平。刚才警察局说有任何的这个录像，这是共产党旗，不是中国旗。哦，这不是中国旗，共产党旗。
这是共产党旗是吧？
对，共产党旗。
这不是中国旗，
不是共产党旗。他这说的是什么？当血对着共产党的旗子，对，大的共产党。血染的旗帜，我建议血几千万中国人民的鲜血，可以非常无耻，沾染了中国人民鲜血。对，这样对。打倒共产党！共产党统治中国，我统治澳洲。
拍一下这张无耻的脸啊！把这张无耻的脸给拍下，然后大家注意，把你们的照片向澳大利亚有关机构去报告去啊！
警察说他最早的是警察黄龙旗，在95岁之前呢是黄龙旗，然后呢就是这个青天白日，这是
no， 有一个问题错，青天白日是在这个清朝起之后，对，应该是青天白日，然后是
黄龙旗。你中国历史你肯定不懂，你肯定中国不懂。
Don't pay attention to him. This is yes. Walk away.
不然我是你的。
Basically, eradicate the Uyghur nation. The Chinese Communist Party's main aim is to eradicate the Uyghur nation, reduce their population, and to assimilate whatever left. So this is a very brutal, dangerous policy, the campaign that Xi Jinping is conducting against the Uyghur nation. Therefore, we're holding this protest, and I would like to now take this opportunity to show you and explain to you what they are doing to Uyghur nation.
Now we're talking and they better be scared.
야, 보면 저만 지 라이.
Tagalo. Şık
야야, 슈자셔 지금 너. 야. 이렇게 해보자슬로. 땡큐.
Party is also bullying Australians, Canadians, Czechs, Indians, the Japanese people, the Taiwanese people, and any person who posts a picture of Winnie the Pooh on WeChat. Pretending people live under the world's most severe surveillance and censorship at the mercy of a thuggish government. So, the Chinese Communist Party.
We have to strike back, and we have the legal means to do that. China's Communist Party is a politically criminal organisation. You have to deal with them the same way you deal with other aspects of organised crime, just like the mafia.
I think it took so long for us to wake up. Maybe we're naive too. The CCP steals jobs and hundreds of millions of dollars every year. It spreads propaganda, lies that demonize, spies on us through TikTok, Huawei, and it's undertaken the largest peacetime military buildup in history. Trying to cover up the COVID-19 pandemic. The Chinese Communist Party is also bullying Australians, Canadians, Czechs, Indians, the Japanese people, the Taiwanese people, and any person who posts a picture of Winnie the Pooh on WeChat. The Chinese people live under the world's most severe surveillance and censorship, at the mercy of a thuggish government. So what went wrong?
Published to this government. In that seminal book, he explored the idea that we humans are born with several unalienable rights, including life, property, and freedom. And the entire new civilization, as I said, politically liberal democracy and capitalist market economy and all other freedom of speech, freedom of religion, all these principles are based on universal human rights. We have to gather every year to memorize, to celebrate the Human Rights Day, simply because there are still evil regimes like Chinese Communist Party around the world. The communism and communist parties around the world are based on the opposite of human rights. They did everything in opposition to basic universal human rights, including the right to life. They took millions and millions of lives away in order to establish communist rule. They condemn millions and millions of people around the world to misery, to poverty, and they eliminate millions and millions of elite people in all communities: Tibetans, Uyghurs, Congolese, Chinese, of course including Russians, everywhere. When you have communism, when you have communist party, they build their regime on the bones of these victims of every ethnicity. One day, when Chinese Communist Party climbed to capture power, is to eliminate the landlocked and distribute the land among themselves. 我们今天集会是要庆祝国际人权日。好，我先道个歉，因为国际人权日是12月10号，因为12月10号大家都工作，所以我们没有办法在那一天来举行集会，所以我们推迟了几天，到今天才做这个活动。我们每年都来集会庆祝这个日子，这是因为1948年联合国发表了世界人权宣言，宣布所有的人，只要你是人，你都具有不可剥夺、不可让渡的基本权利，包括生命权、财产权和自由权。但是共产党和共产主义政权 和共产主义心态，刚好是建立在普世人权相对立的基础上。
Peaceful activism for the freedom of his people, Tibetan people. But more than that, His Holiness has always wanted a greater humanity and greater good and peace throughout all the world. The freedom of Tibet is important. It's important for this non-violent movement, this peaceful movement to succeed, to show the world that peaceful activism and non-violent activism can be successful and can free a nation from one of the most tyrannous nations that there are, China. Under the Chinese regime, we've seen things go from bad to worse. At the moment, China is under investigation from the UN for over 1 million Tibetan children that have been taken from their families and put into institutions run by the CCP. In these Chinese boarding schools, Tibetan children are not allowed to speak Tibetan language. They're not allowed to practice their own religion. They're cut off from their culture. We've seen this before here in Australia. We've seen this as the stolen generation and the government's action against our own Australian Aboriginal people. We cannot stand by and allow this to happen here in the 21st century under China for Tibetan people. We cannot allow China to try to eliminate Tibetan culture, Tibetan religion, Tibetan language, while we stand by and do nothing. That's why we have to take action, and that's why we have to demand that the Australian government takes action. We're here today with our Uyghur friends, Chinese democracy activist friends, Hong Kongers friends, because we all know and Falun Gong, because we all know that China is trying to oppress everybody in China, including its own Chinese citizens. And that freedom for one will be freedom for all. And that's why we're standing here together to say, Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free the Uyghurs! Free the Hong Kong! Free the Falun Gong! And free China! Thank you very much.
消灭共匪，世界安全。消灭共匪，维护人权。
Yeah. Next, may I invite Tagut Abbas to say a few words on behalf.
Thank you. I am very proud and honored to be here, standing alongside with my Tibetan friends, Falun Gong friends, people from Hong Kong, and all Chinese Democratic group as well. As we all know, Chinese Communist Party has, their regime is very brutal against anyone. That unless you are communist and follow their identity and Chinese communist ideas, you are a threat to Chinese Communist Party. So we have all suffered under the Chinese Communist Party a heavy oppression. We have paid a biggest price. Now, as you can see, things protest for almost 7 years now, I think more than that. This is because the Uyghur population is now locked up in concentration camps. Millions of, we don't know the exact numbers because the Chinese Communist Party always lie. They never tell the truth, and they block international communities to come and investigate and to find the truth about the Uyghur nation. The Uyghur people now are still locked up in concentration camps, and millions have lost their lives in these camps, and millions are suffering now under this Chinese communist regime. The reason that I say that millions have lost, the millions of Uyghur lives are lost, is because the Uyghur populations are also lied from the Chinese Communist Party. They say that Uyghur population is only 10-11 million. But the reality is that in 1949, when we have our leader and our army, that we have calculated our population was a bit over 10 million. This is 1949. Now it's over 75 years past. The Chinese Communist Party is still saying that Uyghur population is 10 million. Now you can do the mathematics calculation yourself. Statistics, we have estimated we should have at least over 35 million Uyghurs. So this is the exact reason why the Chinese Communist Party is attacking my people, the Uyghur nation, to reduce their population to 10 million. So they are trying to kill over 25 million Uyghurs to bring down to 10 million. So this is a very scary, very dangerous situation for Uyghur people. And it's similar to the Tibetans. They've tried to eradicate the Tibetan as well. Now they're attacking the Hong Kong's freedom. Falun Gong has been attacked. So it's very important for us to stand up against this brutal regime, especially the Xi Jinping under his leadership. He has become the most horrible monster that is attacking the human rights, the humanity. There's no respect of any differences, different people or different race or religion. So it's very important we stand up and fight against the Communist Party, Xi Jinping, because this is a most honorable act when you are facing oppression. Because standing and fighting against oppression is to save your people, save your nation, save your children in our future, and save our identity, our religion, our beliefs, our culture. Otherwise, we are finished. We will be destroyed and we will be turned into communist nation, which we are not. So thank you very much, my friends, to stand up together to keep up this fight.
The Communist Party will come after you because they want to destroy that. It is a godless ideology. So the Uyghur people have also their faith, the Muslim faith, the Islamic faith. Christians, Hong Kong people, all have a greater belief than just materialism of what I can get from the government. But the Communist Party, if it can't corrupt you into its system of control, then it'll try and break you down. And it takes this approach to governments here as well. For example, the Australian government. Since the early 2000s, the Australian government has sought trade deals with China. And of course, they're dealing with the Chinese Communist Party. So in seeking that trade, and now we're dependent on China for so many things. So there's this huge integrated, interconnected today with China and the ruling power of the Communist Party. We need to protect our values, we need to stand up and defend those values, not just for the people who are suffering here today, or the people we care about in our culture and nations, but for the Australian people. If we don't speak up and defend the values that Australia has been founded on, we are failing really, and that's something I think we can share more with MPs and senators who understand these issues. The Communist Party really likes to be able to control people. That's the essence of communism, is control. It wants to control Tibet, it wants to control East Turkestan. And most of all, it wants to actually eradicate and kill Falun Gong practitioners, because Falun Gong practitioners don't live in a region of China, they populate all of China. They're in every city, across every province. There were 70 to 100 million people practicing Falun Gong. This was the existential threat for the Communist Party, to have Han Chinese people wanting to stand up for the values that they've come to know and cherish: truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, Zheng, Shan, Ren. To stand up and defend those things with their lives, those principles, because they've come to know that's the essence of being a good human being.
Menace to the people of China. And we're seeing that with the Uyghurs, we're seeing it with the Falun Gong practitioners, we're seeing it with the Christians, we're seeing it that the Communist Party of China is now trying to bully its neighbours around the Asian Pacific. We have to strike back, and we have the legal means to do that. The Chinese Communist Party is a politically criminal organisation.
by severe surveillance and censorship at the mercy of the thuggish government. Forwards, the Chinese Communist Party, the communist government-owned company that failed to pay even $1 into the cyber mediation fund, which was established under agreement to provide security for the Uyghur language. The communist government-owned company demands the minerality transfer land.
The freedom of the Chinese people. It's the Chinese people who bore the brunt of the violence for decades and decades. They take guys and take their money. They're guilty. And they're being cruelly guilty. And we got the facts on what they're doing.
And our law is against them in ways that we haven't necessarily made them towards their own authoritarian agenda.
From the party's great firewall.
Some who failed to learn from decades of CCP behavior have been wringing their hands, wondering if it would be.
Oregon harvesting a form of mass murder. This is something that was happening today. On July 20th, 1999, the Chinese Communist Party became hundreds of thousands of
The transnational criminal organization, the CCP, is a menace to the United States. It's a menace to every free country. It's a menace to the people of China. And we're seeing that with the Uyghurs. We're seeing it with the Falun Gong practitioners. We're seeing it with the Christians. We're seeing it how the Communist Party of China is now trying to bully its neighbors around the Asian Pacific. We have to strike back, and we have the legal means to do that. The Chinese Communist Party is a politically criminal organization. You have to deal with
all the fake guys are doing and taking blood money. It's all coming out. And the world is going to stand in judgment. Because you're just as bad as the devil. In fact, you're worse. You knew about the fucking God.
CCP is a one-party, totalitarian, political organization committed to reform any Chinese ideology. It started out as a group of Uyghur.
As Beijing moves Hong Kong now, the same way in protecting the rights and interests of Hong Kong people. The little pinks really don't know anything about Hong Kong. Little pinks think that the CCP is the god and that Hong Kong was evil under British rule. Although I was born in mainland China, I grew up in Hong Kong from the age of 2 and lived most of my life when the British ruled Hong Kong government for insulting the British national anthem. Of course, now in Hong Kong citizens can still mock the British king and verify the British national anthem. However, if Hong Kong citizens verify the Chinese national anthem, the judge. This is obviously a political trial and a groundless charge that deprives Hong Kong of the rights.
大的红线灯，大的红线灯，大的习近平。
刚才警察局上有任何的这个录像，
这是共产党旗，不是中国旗。哦，这不是中国旗，共产党旗。
这是共产党旗是吧？
对，共产党旗。
这不是中国国旗。
共产党旗。他这说呢是什么？刚学对着共产党的旗子，对，大的共产党。血染的旗帜，我建议几千万中国人民的鲜血，可以非常无耻，沾染了中国人民鲜血。对，这样对。打倒共产党！打倒共产党！共产党统治中国，和统治澳洲。
拍一下这张无耻的脸啊！把这张无耻的脸给拍下。 然后大家注意，把你们的照片向澳大利亚有关机构去报告去啊。
警察刚才说了，警察
黄龙旗在95个军之前呢是黄龙旗啊，然后呢就是把这个青天白日，这是
no， 有一个问题错，青天白日是在这个清朝起之后，对，应该是青天白日，然后是
黄龙旗，一般信息，你中国历史你肯定不懂，你肯定不懂，你肯定中国不懂。
Don't pay attention to him. This is him. Yes.
这是不然我是不然我是你的
Don't give him.
中国历史一点都不懂。
This is what
黄
he
龙
wants.
非常典型的人格分裂。你觉得
你
你到澳大利亚来干嘛的？你是来读书的是吧？你选择澳大利亚的目的是什么？
我选择我来澳大利亚，我就不能选择。
太无耻了你啊！
He gets money.
小粉红滚开！
快了就要报警察吧！
这个没有，
简直他就是，he's a CCP scum。
You like China, go back to China. That's right. Yeah.
回中国去！滚回你无耻透顶！你无耻透顶！
我为什么呢？
你干嘛到澳大利亚来的？澳大利亚什么国家的？澳大利亚什么国家的？
就是中国人不能离开中国是吧？
中国人应该离开中国。 消灭一个正直的中国人应该离开，但是你已经无耻了，你已经是极端的无耻了。就因为这片血旗，你跑来挑衅我们，滚开！共匪！
一般享受自由，一般享受
你们大家注意啊，把他的照片拍下来，然后向澳大利亚移民部、向澳大利亚安全情报部报告这个人，从他的照片上马上就能查出来。他如果想在这里申请身份，他是全部拍下来。
枪毙习近平，可以，这些是你的自由啊，又不让你说呀。那为什么我在这里展示这个？
可以讲你的，我讲你的自由，但是你很无耻。就是这也是无耻。
那绝对的无耻，应该滚开了，应该滚吧，滚吧。
不是因为呢，你看这共产党
不要去拍他，
伤害了无数中国人民的这个
受蒙蔽的混蛋。
好的，我受蒙蔽了。
先蒙you。
象征中国共产党，小五形象工人阶级农民阶级，所以你是共产党籍，不是中国籍。共产党这个是人家和中国没有关系。
联合国创始的到现在为止，没有这片血旗是青天白日满地红的意思，你懂吗？你了解历史吧？你不了解历史，
那
你做什么小丑？
你持有青天白日旗，你
他不懂，他一点都不懂历史。
联合国大会
非常好吧？赶紧回到你的中国去。
你这是卖国，你这
滚回中国去！
中国不知道卖国卖了多少个亿，真的，你这毛泽东说了，日本人侵略中国是好事儿，因为他打击了国民党。 国民党，而不是共产日本越战是澳大利亚，越战地方多，越
滚回中国。
还是毛泽东说过，原子弹打到中国杀了几亿中国人，我们还要中国人还给你
拍下来那太脏，
是非常无耻的。所以你呢站在这些无耻的，所以你不能你这是非常无耻。
站在这个环境里头，有几个人支持你的？
你那是你既然有机会到了你劝你学，
真的，
对，好的也是对，没关系，人家是这个意思。对，
我不能讨论，
你可以讨论，但是我们这个没关系，我们都有跟他一样的历史，我们从小对共产党历史，毛泽东时代对共产党的这个不同的历史。对，没错，但是你知道的很少，你知道的还很少。不是完美的，但共产党并不是完美的问题，它是卖。
在晚星墜落彷徨夜，迷霧裏最遠處吹來號角聲，看自由為神在這裏，永絕的抗爭，用你智慧又永不滅，黎明來都要光復這香港，平人而樂。
very passionate to get the evidence from the same the language.
Life, liberty, and security of person. Yet the Uyghurs are subjected to mass detention and forced labors. Article 18, which protests the rights to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, are blatantly disregarded in Tibet and for fallen Dafa practitioners who face persecution for their beliefs. Furthermore, since 1950, the people of Tibet have endured significant suffering due to a range of political, cultural, and social issues stemming from the Chinese rule. Key aspects of their suffering include cultural suppression. The Chinese government has implemented policies aimed at eradicating Tibetan culture, language, and religion. Monasteries have been destroyed, religious practices have been restricted, and the Tibetan language has been marginalized in education and public life. Political repression. Tibetans have faced several political repressions, including arbitrary arrest, torture, and imprisonment of those who advocate for Tibetan autonomy or express dissent against Chinese policies. The Chinese government has maintained strict control over political expression in the region. Economic displacement. Many Tibetans have experienced economic hardships due to the influx of Han Chinese migrants and the prioritization of Chinese businesses over local Tibetan enterprises. This has led to displacement under the law. Article 3, right to life, liberty, and security of person. Article 5, right to be free from torture and inhumane or degrading treatment. Article 6, right to recognition of person.
And we did the 5 dollars because you wrote 5 zeros already.
所以承认流氓国家，但不承认合法国家。他会有机会去承认。
As I listed these violations of human rights in only 2 reasons by China. What are the emotions and thoughts running through your head? Pity, anger, disgust, sadness, or empathy? Or questions like, how can I influence change? How can we as a community bring these
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's very important the younger generation join the fight against communism in defense of fundamental human rights. I think the Chinese have a lot to learn from Tibetans. I see so many.
將我哋喺香港嘅抗爭繼續延續落去。我哋記得喺香港，我哋仲有好多嘅政治犯，我哋要為佢發聲，更加我哋要為香港係有個民主嘅制度而努力。我哋嘅下一步咧就係成立香港議會。我呼籲所有香港人，你哋要行出一步咧，支持我哋。我們香港的抗爭不會就此停止。我知道現在中國政府會繼續打壓我們，但是我們還會繼續努力。我們會下一步，我們就是成立香港議會，就好像藏人流亡政府一樣，我們在國際上會有自己的聲音，我們不會再聽從香港政府。
Suspended deaths. That's how the Labour government knelt down before the Chinese regime. The Labour government, the Australian now, said restore its full relations with China. It's called comprehensive strategic partnership. Australia, in June, Chinese Premier Li Qiang visited
Human Rights Day 74 years ago. The development of the democratic system has been facilitated, and today more and more countries has carry on the democratic system, except China, or mainland China. That's a disaster of us, unfortunately. The secondly,
two things.
And also, I want to take this 中共的铁蹄之下，这个老百姓没有自由。这也因此呢，我们有这个肩负的历史责任和重任，来这个促使来加速共产党倒台。
你开始吧。